Hello, welcome back with Fernando, which is wide awake for us, talking about two sacred cards. We got to the number 10 of
This is
our...
the last one.
Yeah, this is the last one.
Once again, thank you very much for inviting me.
You're very welcome, and we are set on this journey with the cards of truth. And we complete today the pairs of the major arcana.
Yeah.
We go through together through the Wheel of Fortune for the feminine, and for the masculine is the Magician. These two
Which
cards.
is very interesting because it's the last one, but at the same time, it's kind of the first one also.
Absolutely. And maybe it has to do with the number 10.
Yeah.
10 plus 1 plus 0 is equal 1. So any 10 is an ace also, somehow. Not in the same way, but it's also a new thing, something new. I call these two cards, between me and myself, the cards of God. Because in my idea, not that it has to do with God, but they have a quality of it. Because they have this completion, sense of completion. There is not the need of building, of finding a solution. Everything is in your hands, basically. And you want love. I have a fountain of love. Do we need material success? Okay, maybe we need time, but we get there. Do we need to work on ourselves? Oh, I know how to put myself through hell and come to the other way. Do we need to be so proficient in what we do, come up with ideas and everything? We know how to do that. And I went through the 4 tens, basically. I started with the hearts, then diamonds, and then spades, and then clubs. Right. This is very condensed way of describing these cards. But basically, this in here, we look at the path. We're not looking at something specific in the detail. It's all-encompassing type of energy. That's how I see it, at least.
Yeah.
Would you give your...
Well, what you said, I agree with that, definitely. And when I think about the tens, I always tell clients it's like a storm. I imagine all the little hearts or the spades or the clubs or the diamonds just coming at you like in a blizzard, like in a storm with wind. And basically...
Thrown at you, basically.
I'm sorry?
Thrown at you.
Yeah. It's basically you are right in it. And what this means is that when the tens come up, blacks or reds, it's basically you get a potpourri of everything at the same time, preparing you for the culmination and the next step that you're going to come to. When the tens come up, things come in, things go out, big things happen, small things happen, good things happen, bad things happen. It's all happening at the same time because it's all numbers at the same time. But at the same time, it's the 1 plus 0. So it's the end and the beginning. And, you usually relate these cards to the ecliptic. Mm-hmm. I also like to associate it with the Navagraha scheme, the idea of the 9 planets and how they all form one entity, right? There's several images that do this in astrology. The ecliptic does that in a way, Some people say that Danishta Nakshatra also does that in a way by the Vasuvedas, which combine the 5 elements with the idea of the sun, the moon, and the stars.
Maybe you can, for those that are not familiar with nakshatras, do you want to tell a little peel about the Danishta?
Okay, Danishta basically is a nakshatra, one of the 27. Well. I'm sorry?
You know that nakshatra very well.
Yeah, it's my nakshatra, yeah. And it's basically reigned by the Vasuvedas, which are 8 gods. Depends what type of list you use to describe them, but it's usually like a combination of... I always see them like the Infinity Gauntlet from the Marvel movies. This is like the five elements coming into it. But you know, more than that, Danishta is also associated a lot with music. But what I mean by this is that this image of Danishta, the ecliptic, and the Navagraha has this idea of everything coming together and acting as a whole. And when you have the number 10, you have to think of the of three specific words. You know, when the 10 comes up, is basically the escalation of something, patience, and at the same time resistance. It's the escalation of the storm, the patience that we have to go through the storm, and at the same time the resistance you have to go to give birth to that new stage. And when these cards, these major arcana cards come up, the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune, is, you know, something is about to be born in a bigger and a newer way, giving path, opening the path to a new cycle that will start with the number 1 that we discussed along a lot of videos ago. Once again,
I was thinking while you were talking.
Yeah.
Can we compare the journey from the ace to 9 to mastering something? Okay. At the 9, you have the master. And at the 10, for example, if it's riding a bike, at the 10, you go for the first race. So it has to do.
That's it. Yeah, sure.
It has to do with what you learn. Okay. What you have with the skill that you have, for example, and that you do something with it on another level.
Yeah. And for me also, and I've said this before with the 8s and the 9s, how the 8 and the 9 are very similar, and how once you do the 8, you automatically do the 9 afterwards. Yeah. And at the same time, I feel that once you do the 9, the 10 comes in automatically also. Yeah. So, you know, this final cycle of the 8, 9, and 10, it's very similar. And in a way, it starts with the 7, believe it or not, you know.
Absolutely, because
with the 7.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
We know that from 1 to 6, it's the concrete reality that we work for. Okay, so you can achieve something up to the 6. And then from the 7 to the 9, obviously the 10 also, it happens to you. It's not something that you can do. You cannot decide to be an 8.
Definitely.
The 8 is an experience that happens within you, with you. And that at the 10 stage, this experience that brings the higher part of yourself to realization concretizes, becomes something that you do in a 10 fashion.
Yeah. And I also feel that the leap from 7 to 8 is a big leap that you have to do. Yeah. But once you do it and you do the 8, then you realize the 8, the 9 comes automatically, and then you walk into the 10.
I think the
10 is that storm. I'm sorry?
Sorry, I keep cutting you off, and it wasn't my intention. I think we mentioned this probably in the first video of the Major Arcana, that we mentioned that the relationship between the 8 and the 9, where the 9 is the last realization of the 8. The last realization of the 8 is a 9, basically. You can't really part them from one another. They come like it's a blossoming phase.
Definitely. And at the 10, it's like, you know, you unlocked all the mysteries and everything's coming at you, and you are like in an ayahuasca trip, just seeing everything at the same time. Just like,
is that the sound that you make?
Yeah, that's the sound you make.
Okay.
The 10 is basically you are being given birth to, just ready to the next level. And that's where the 1 comes in afterwards. The birth, the potential, it's basically you are being gestated in your mother's womb. And as you said correctly, the number 10 is represented by the 2 major arcanas of the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune. And these are very powerful cards, in my opinion. The Magician represents the 10 of clubs, the 10 of swords or spades, and the Wheel of Fortune represents the 10 of hearts and the 10 of diamonds. And basically, once again, Here, as we've said before in the last major arcana videos, you know, we're seeing how the masculine becomes feminine and the feminine becomes masculine. We've said that with the Hermit and the Fool in the 9, and to a lesser degree, we said that also with the Hangman and the Chariot in the 8th video. But now they're
there is
fully
a fusion because you can't really.
yeah, and I believe that in the 10, like they're like fully integrated to a degree where you can't really distinguish them. You know, the Magician in a way is like an androgynous figure, and the Wheel of Fortune, even though it doesn't have anthropomorphic features, you know, the Wheel of Fortune has a
In
lot
my deck, it does.
I'm sorry.
In my deck, it does. I gave.
Oh, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
But what I meant is that even though it doesn't have anthropomorphic features, it has this idea of totality in it that is inevitable to realize that it has to do with the idea of the whole coming together and bringing this, you know, escalation and this patience. So in addition to that, you know, we see the Magician, right? And once again, the black card is going to assume more of a masculine perspective. And with the Magician, you realize the abilities that you need to deal with the new external phases that they're about to begin. You know, that Ace of Spades that's coming up, that Ace of Clubs that's coming up. You are dealing with the things that you have to do in the outside world to deal with those things. At the same time, you develop the abilities to get what you want from the external world by your free will in action. And this is basically what the Magician does. He learns, he appreciates, he understands free will, and he uses it according to the rules of nature to do magic and affect the world that's coming into him in order to begin a new phase in life, which is going to be the sun in the Ace.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you have the Wheel of Fortune. And with the Wheel of Fortune, once again, it's more of a female approach to things. And it's basically, you know, instead of abilities, it's the change and the pure luck, right? That you have to deal with the new internal phases that are about to begin inside you, right?
I see them being one with the fate.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know that everything is fated, so there is no ego in a sense. There is, I don't care what you do to me, I can love you in spite of circumstances. Or I don't care about the circumstances, I know that what I need, I'm gonna get.
Which once again follows the logic of the past two major arcana female cards.
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah.
The Hangman.
Yeah.
It's this ability, this idea of action through non-action. You know, and basically here with the Wheel of Fortune, you're just developing the abilities to accept what is for you. You know, it's best basically
by experience.
Yeah, and
you
it's basically
know that they are what? Sorry, I've been distracted. He wanted to participate.
Yeah, and it's basically, as you said, like everything's faded, and it's the idea of destiny in action. And, you know, with the Magician, you're being and becoming from the internal to the external, while with the Wheel of Fortune, you're being and becoming from the external to the internal. Once again, you know, touching these themes that we've seen with the past two major arcana sets of the 8 and the 9s, which once again brings us to this idea that we've talked about, how the 8, 9, and 10 are very, very similar. You know, they're these are cards that deal with
the same thing.
These cards deal with a higher level of consciousness. You know, these cards deal with higher levels of human development that we have to take into consideration.
Yeah, because we deal with the matter still, because we are incarnated, but on a level that is not materialistic at all. So we have the fusion of the two, and that cannot be understood somehow. It has to be experienced, first of all. And second of all, we have to give ourselves to some sort of higher, broader realm of existence, which is nothing like what we do up until the 6th. And see, we are used to thinking that the 6th stage of life is the best thing that we can aspire to and we can strive to, having the car, having the job, having the money, having, you know, the nice girlfriend or boyfriend, husband or wife, whatever. But then life has a broader, bigger project for us in store. But we all go through these phases. I mean, even if we are not born with these cards activated, one way or another, we're gonna experience those anyway. So,
and you know, another thing that I think is a good idea is to combine other major arcana cards for this number 10. For example, another thing that I thought about is that the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune are the cards for the 10, but we could also take the major arcana cards for the 1 and the 0. Like we could take the Sun and the Earth to represent the black 10s, and we could also take the Star and the Moon to represent the red 10s. So once again, you know, I think that if we take these triads of major arcana to represent the 10, it kind of makes more, it brings home a more solid idea of this idea of everything coming together, everything working together in order to give birth to the next stage. And you know, this is life. This is the Wheel of Fortune, and this is again, you know, the Magician. It's basically the mixture of destiny or faith with free will. The Magician is free will working with destiny, and destiny and the Wheel of Fortune is destiny working with free will, right? How we accept destiny and how we work with destiny.
it's a nice image, I have to say. Maybe it's worth rewinding and going and play it again and listening to it twice, because it's very dense. So if you guys felt like doing that, go back and listen it again, because it was very dense of meaning.
What are you talking about?
What you just said. It was very dense of meaning. So
okay, if you I mean, I think it's
needs to go back, just go back, because it was very dense.
Okay.
It's a compliment, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't mean like that, but yeah.
Well, you were inspired, certainly.
Oh yes, I'm always inspired. Yes.
Oh, sorry then. Okay, I think if I add something, you know, I like to see these things also through the perspective of our own concrete experience, because that's where we learn without any external influence. So I would say that the Magician is it is the difference when you've started driving the car, and in Italy we don't have the automatic how do you call it?
Oh wow, you don't have automatic cars?
Not very common, no.
Wow, that's incredible.
Well, it's more
all manual. It's all manual.
Manual is more fun. If you like driving, it's more fun. You have more control of the car.
That's true.
I like it. But anyway, when you first learn how to drive, it feels like you're gonna die. You're never gonna master that. It's too many things at once, and oh god. But then you take your license at 6 and you start to drive, and you get used to it, and you get better and better and better, and then you drive and you don't know it. You go in almost in self-pilot, autopilot, I think it's called autopilot. You drive and you can do something else, so you become a magician. When you can do something and not be stressed, and otherwise everything goes pear-shaped.
Yes, in the zone, organically done. Yeah, I understand.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see the Magician being like that. Or for example, Bolt the runner. No, if you look at him, he runs and you can see he's powerful and everything, but it doesn't seem that he's doing something very stressful. He's very fluid in what he does. And that fluidity that comes from total mastery is the magician in my eyes. And when I think at the Wheel of Fortune, I think of something that doesn't need to have stress. And this is very, see, I'm thinking about this now that I talk to you. The stress element is absent completely from the two cards, both of them. The Wheel of Fortune is, it cannot wait for things to happen, not because it's lazy, not because of any particular reason. It's like somebody looking at the cherry and knowing that it's going to become red. That's the same inner ease. Life is going to manifest, it's going to happen. It's like a mother looking at the child, and there is a pouring of affection for the child. Usually, normally. Then we have sociopaths, but that's a minority.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? You don't need anything other than what it is there to feel love for the child. And that's a 10 of hearts if you want. You know, it's this pouring of affection. And the same with the 10 of diamonds. So we're still in the realm of the Wheel of Fortune. What happens is that you know that things are going to happen the way they're supposed to. So there is no stress, no chasing. They are coming, they are happening. If we want with the 10 of diamonds, so in an aspect of the Wheel of Fortune implies time. So maybe some time has to go by before the result comes in. Okay?
Definitely.
Simply because you can activate the manifestation of something at a certain level, inner level, but then the material world, the 3D, needs to organize to make things. So that takes time. So with the Wheel of Fortune, we also have this factor of time, which we don't have with the magician. Magician is like that, goes fast. That's how I like to see these cards. Basically.
I think those are very good descriptions. I think we've given really good descriptions for the 10 in this video.
Yeah, so anybody can relate to these simple things. And if you are a little bit sensitive, you don't need to look into the words, but you can feel it. You can connect to your experiences that are made like that.
To
So
your
you learn
feminine
from
side.
yourself. And then you don't need me or Fernando anymore.
You don't need anything. You just need yourself.
Excellent. Okay, I'm blurry. Now I'm not. And okay, I'm very happy that we did this. We took a little bit of time with these two cards because they are the last two. But
This series took us how long? Like 5 months? No, not long. No, not that
no,
much.
I don't think.
Yeah, like 3 months. Yeah.
It is very happy with it, and it's the last video of the Major Arcana, but it's not the last video of the series. So keep watching and sharing and help us let people know that we're doing this, because you know what happens, Fernando?
No, I don't know, but you're gonna tell me. Yeah.
Sure. I get feedback from people saying, "Oh, I devour your video."
Thousands of people.
Thousands of two people. But I get feedbacks from people that don't know that we're doing this, and they say, "Oh, since I discovered this, I've been looking at your videos and they are very informative. So thank you, thank you, thank you." So if you guys want to share our videos, you don't do it for our faces, though they're very beautiful, but you do it for people that are looking for the informations out there. That's all, basically.
See you in the next one.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.